get going. Welcome everyone to Monday Momentum. This is our 20-minute restart of the week every week. And it's so that we can kick off our week strong with clarity, with intention, with power, with purpose, with everything that will help us crush this week. And then this, not only this week, right? Future weeks to come. So today's topic, I think of it as like this quiet skill that really changes everything. So when you think about it, right, before you need it, you have to build it. So that hidden advantage of being proactive, of being prepared, that's what we're going to talk about today. But I want to be honest with you. And if you're honest with yourself, right, by the time sometimes that we start preparing, it's already too late, right? It's like I'm doing it on the later aspect of whatever life has thrown my way. People wait for a breakdown before they start building. So you can think about like mental breakdown, physical breakdown, financial breakdown, emotional breakdown, whatever that is, right? They start when that happens is when that happens is when they start really preparing. But it should be the other way around, right? When you start thinking of yourself as a real leader, as taking control of your life, right? They prepare in the quiet seasons. So not when things are chaotic, not when things are breaking down, really on the earlier side. These people they put foundations in place before life demands it, so that when it happens, because it's inevitable, right, you are prepared for it. So today I want us to kind of think about breaking down um, our, like, when we think about preparation and being ready, being proactive, I want us to think about first, what does it mean to really be proactive, right? Just beyond like the one or two productivity hacks that we talk about, really deep down, what does it mean to be proactive? And then I want to touch a little bit about on like why building early is such an underrated skill, like that hidden skill. I want to tell you really why it's important. And then also, just like as always, right, just practical tips on thinking through how to start being prepared right now. What are you asking for? What are they asking for that you need to be prepared for? So I want to start with, when I say build before you need it, right? This is what I mean. I don't want you to wait until like that your business is drowning before you start learning the systems. We talk about it at Phoenix Salon. We say NMXL as well, right? We talk about how we want to create our systems so that it would prepare us for all the things that are to come. And that's how we are always think to be excellent, right? We need our systems in place so that we are never drowning. If when you think about building it before you need it, don't wait until you are close to burning out before you start protecting your peace, right? Think about how to set the right boundaries right now. And I also don't want you to wait for crisis before you start thinking about how to build your financial foundation. So don't wait for maybe a health crisis or something that really shakes you to start thinking, hey, are my finances in place? Because that's also important, right? I've learned that people who are proactive, they live ahead of their lives. So they are always two steps ahead. But when those are proactive people, right? Reactive people are always behind. So something happens and then they try to play catch up. When I think about being proactive, right, I think about it in terms of like your vision. I think about it in how you need to anticipate, right? So every step of the way. And I think about it actually in leadership. Being proactive is a sign of great leadership, because you stop thinking about fear and you start thinking about how to be ready, right? You take fear out of the equation and you're like, okay, what do I need to do today to be ready for the unknown, to be ready for the uncertain, to be ready for whatever it is that's coming my way? 5, 10, who knows how long, months or years, whatever it is down the line. Like, how am I prepared today? So the way I think about it is like, we don't always rise to the occasion, right? You fall to the level of like how prepared you are, the systems you have. So why don't you start building it today? Now this is going to look different for different people, right? It just depends on what phase of life that you're in. So that's how I want you to start thinking about. For others, it might be something small, and then for others, it might be leaders who are maybe owners of businesses, of companies. It's taking it to the next level. So when I think about like how do I put proactivity into motion, right? There are three areas of your life that I think if you started to be proactive in right now, it could really help you grow. And so the first thing I want to think about is like, how do you start building capacity before the opportunity comes. So if you are asking for right now, if you're like, I want to be more proactive, and if you're thinking about you want more visibility, whether it's online, you want more income, you want more leadership, right? Do you have the capacity right now before it comes, before all those things that you want actually start taking shape and start taking effect? So my thought is that you try to build the routine, whatever it is, before the opportunity comes. So think about sharpening the skills before you get on stage. For instance, for me, right? My big goal is to speak on stage and is to build what I'm doing and to share it with the world. But the question I have to ask myself is, what am I doing today to prepare me for that stage that's coming next month, next quarter, next year? What am I doing today? That's how you have to start thinking about. That's what readiness and being prepared and being proactive looks like. And for others, it might be set the boundaries before you get overwhelmed, right? Set the boundaries before you fall behind. It could look like that for you. So I want you to ask yourself this question. If what I'm asking for today, whatever it is, your wildest dreams, your biggest goals, the biggest accomplishments that you want to accomplish, if what you're asking for today happens, right? Do you have the structure to handle it, right? Are you the right person right now today to like walk into and to step into that big goal, that big plan that you have? And if the answer is no, then I want you to pick one area of capacity that you can strengthen, whether this week. So it could be like, what's my time like, right? What systems do I have in place? What boundaries do I need to set today? Those are the things that you have to be thinking about to prepare you, no pun intended, for the person that you want to be or the next phase of life that you're stepping into. The next thing that I want you to think about is I want you to think about starting to build systems before the stress kicks in, right? So think about stress will multiply in chaos. So like when things start really like breaking down, it's normal that your stress level increases. But when you have the right systems in place, right, then you can almost start to think about how you can pivot without starting to panic. So think about like if you have financial systems in place, if you have if, even something as small as like weekly planning, if you had that in place, then there's less likelihood for chaos to happen, right? Even think about things that are like near and dear to you. So like emergency responses, or even like an emergency fund, right? How do you prepare for that? So those are things that you have to start thinking about, where you can build the systems before anything terrible happens, right? The most successful people that you admire, those ones that you look up to, wherever, what part of the world you are, they're not just talented, right? They're prepared. You don't see the sharpening that happens behind the scenes for them to be the person that you see in front of the scenes, right? Or in front of the stage. But they are preparing even more than they're talented. That's something that we don't know and we take for granted. So again, I asked you to think about one area of capacity that you can strengthen. I also want you to think about one system that you can pour into, one system that you can either create, or if the system is there, that you can upgrade it when things really get chaotic, hectic, crazy, whatever that word looks like to you. And then so I talked kind of about building capacity and then building systems, but I also want you to think about character. That character is that thing that nobody sees, but that is something that you're building in the quiet season when you really need it. And I think it's probably the most important one is who you are under pressure when no one is looking, when no one is watching. Who is that person? Who is that woman? Who is that man? Because I think you don't become mentally strong by accident, right? You do the work again when no one is looking. You become emotionally fit when you practice, building your character, when you practice integrity, when you practice self-discipline, when you practice, delayed gratification, or when you do self check-ins, right? These are things that no one else knows. No one is watching, but you are holding yourself accountable. That's what character looks like. That's what character is, right? And what you do in those times will really determine how you lead, how you build when things get really hard. It's what you do behind closed doors. Again, I was talking about it, right? It's the reps. I always go back to reps, and I always go back to like physical fitness, because I think it applies to everything in life. But I want to go back to those things because I think character is so important. So, think about integrity when no one is looking. Think about how you discipline yourself. Think about the things that you put in place and the goals that you try to achieve. You don't necessarily want to win today, but it's a building blocks for tomorrow. How are you checking in with yourself? Like, how are you growing when no one is watching, when life gets hard? When you have those in place, it's not that it makes it significantly easier, but like you have the tools that you need to take you to the next level. So I will say, right? And sometimes I give you all of these things just to kind of tell you what's possible, right? But it starts with picking one thing, and it starts with one daily discipline that will help you strengthen that internal discipline, that internal leadership, that internal growth that you want to happen. Again, it's small, but it's every day. It's staying consistent, it's doing the work. That is the most important thing. And so that's how I want you to think about it, right? I talked about character being the most important, but I also talked about systems and I talked about capacity. All of this is being prepared and it's being proactive for what needs to come. There's so much that we do behind the scenes to help you grow that nobody else sees, but it's the work that needs to be done for you to like come out and shine and be that best version of yourself. So I want to challenge you today, right? As you set yourself up for this week, in our team right now, we are having our quarterly meeting. So like we are also planning for what this quarter looks like and what the future looks like. And I think that this topic is very timely because now we're picking areas in the business that we want to grow so that we can be prepared for next quarter, the quarter after that, in line with our 1 year goal, our 3 year goal, our 10 year goal. That's what that looks like. But do that for yourself as well, right? So, what's one area of your life or your business that maybe you've been waiting on that you can be proactive about this week? Again, start building that system, that skill, that structure before you need it. Maybe it takes committing to like one personal discipline, right? If you're thinking, I want to be a leader, I want to grow, what does that one personal discipline look like in your life? That's what I want you to start thinking about, right? Maybe you write it down on your mirror, so every morning when you're brushing your teeth you see it. Maybe you write that down. Maybe you say or maybe you write it in your phone. Maybe you write it on your to-do list if you have an app that reminds you every day, right? You don't want to wait to be overwhelmed or to just be at the brim before you start thinking about how to get organized, because that's what is the most important, right? And so this week, think about like celebrating your preparedness, your preparation, your proactivity, not when you're about to break down, or not at the verge of something bad, but that you were prepared for it. Not that we wish something bad, but life is lifing, as some will say it. And so sometimes things happen, right? And so how are you prepared for that? I want to leave you with a final thought, and I think this will kind of put it into perspective, right? When you think about Noah, Noah did not build the ark when it started raining, right? He built the ark before, and so when the rain came down, he was protected and his family was protected and his animals were protected, right? But he was prepared and he did not wait until the last minute to start building that ark. That's how I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about your business, right? Let this be your ark building season. What does that look like? What is the thing that you need to be prepared for today, to help you for the future? What is the thing that you need to start doing today so that you're prepared for whatever it is to come? Again, you don't have to be perfect, right? You just have to start building it before you need it. And you might fall off, right? Such is life. But you pick back up and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. Because again, what are we doing? We're building reps. And so that's what this could look like. This is our moment, all of us. This is our moment to like take action in our life, in our business, in our family, personal, professional, relational, whatever it is. This is a season to really take action, but it starts with being prepared. being prepared for whatever it is that you hoped for whatever it is that you prayed for whatever it is that you dreamt of, right? So I want you to leave here today thinking, I want to build, but I want to build on purpose, because that's what winning could look like. So that's all I got for you today. I hope that you take this, again, timely, as it's, halfway through the year, and maybe you haven't achieved some of the goals, some of your New Year's resolutions that you set off to dream and to build and to do. So I think that you have a higher likelihood of achieving that goal, that thing, if you start thinking about being prepared, if you start doing the work today to get you ready for tomorrow. So that's all I got. As usual, if you are thinking about a topic, if there's something that you want to grow in, if there's something that you just kind of want to shine, or if there's something that you want us to shed light on or help you with, put it in the community, put it in the chat. I'm always looking for topics or ideas to talk about. So whatever it is that can help you grow, I'd love to be a part of that journey. So yes, I'll go to the chat and then kind of see. You don't become mentally strong by accident. 100% correct, right? Those people who look flawless, those people who look perfect, right? They are prepared. They're doing the work every day behind the scenes that no one is seeing, that no one is aware of, no one is privy to, but they're doing the work. And it's not by accident. Consistency is key. I agree with that 100%, right? Who you are today, again, is building the reps, and the reps come with consistency, and the consistency is small. It's not running a marathon today, but it's running, I don't know, 10 steps and running a quarter of a mile and then building from there. I love this reminder. Waiting for perfect timing only keeps you stuck. I agree. Taking one small step, exactly. One small step every day can change everything. I completely agree with that. Yes, to building safety nets if I actually need it. Yep. Not that we wish something bad to happen, but that we're just building for that time. Many thanks. You're very welcome. Raising capital. I love that. If that's something that you want to start working on, if you want to start building, then you start doing the thing today to get you ready to be like the uber super phenomenal capital raiser tomorrow. Consistency is key. Thank you for this. Yep. It all has to do with being consistent, staying consistent. That's what matters at the end. So yes. I was on time today. Maybe I was speed talking, but thank you everyone for spending this 20 minutes with us. I hope this was helpful, but I really do want us to pause and think about how we can be prepared for tomorrow. And I really want to take this one to heart. This is my arc building season, and this is the time that I need to be prepared for whatever it is to come, so that I will plow through and win at the end of the day. And I hope that everyone feels that way too. So everyone have a wonderful rest of your day, and let's crush this week.